You're about to watch a free clip of Old School. If you like it, wait till you see the whole episode. All the episodes in their entirety are available for members. Become a member by going to tyt.com/join. All right, welcome to Old School. Jay Uygur, Mark Thompson. I kind of feel like this is now becoming the new Old School.
Yeah,
like that
2 weeks in a row.
That other guy, Mankiewicz, I don't know. It's like a distant memory.
He's got a lot of jobs, and this is one of those. He wants to be here. He really does. But,
no, I know, but nonetheless.
But he's got a lot of stuff to do.
Nonetheless, Mark Thompson, everybody, and I love our conversation. So I brought back 3 from last week that we didn't finish because we only have an hour and a half here.
That's true.
Tough to finish on time, right?
I remember we came up short on a few things.
Yeah, and so some of that will be political. And I've sprinkled in some new stuff. So we're going to talk about how Jeff Sessions might finish Donald Trump.
Oh, that's right. That was only hinted at last time.
Right, and so we're going to bring that back, but add in Nikki Haley sprinkled in.
Oh.
Okay. And so there's a lot of good political conversations. I want to start obviously on lettuce first.
Yeah.
Because why not? And then later we'll get back to the ideal cups of coffee in a day. So these are the important topics discussed today. But first, of course, as always, Old School, sponsored by shoptyt.com, okay? Where you can get this Jurassic Prick t-shirt. Okay. And I'm going to be honest as to why I'm wearing this today. 1, of course I love it. But 2, it's because the good folks at shoptyt.com today told me what our best sellers are. And this is one of our best sellers.
Oh.
And I was like, why? So apparently I have nothing to do with sales because I never wear this shirt online. And but here it is. And so you guys like this one? Bless your hearts, makes sense. Shoptyt.com.
My favorite, as I've stated, is the Stable Genius.
Okay, so Mark, I'm just saying that there might be Christmas gifts in your future. I'm not saying anything.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That'd be strong.
Okay, by the way, another top seller, in fact, I think the top seller, and maybe single-handedly because of Mark Thompson, is the TYT hat.
The TYT hat is the greatest hat I have. I'd wear it everywhere, but it provokes too much discussion. Like you get the conversation going. Yeah.
Wow, that's not such a bad thing. Okay.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. Just some places I don't want to get into a big thing.
No, I know. Look, I'll do the Ben Mankiewicz school of over-the-top honesty, which will relate to something I'm about to show you in a second. But yeah, I had one of these kind of T-shirts that was pretty aggressive against Trump. And I went to an enclave in Malibu, and I swear to God, before we went there, I was like, this is the kind of enclave where this shirt might cause a bit of a ruckus. I told my family that, and I was like, I hope it doesn't, and there was one guy there, who I imagine was wealthy. I don't know, right? That doesn't mean you're a bad guy. And we got Nick Hanauer in our podcasting network now, Pitchfork Economics, wonderful guy. Anna just listened to his first podcast. She's like, holy cow, he's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, being wealthy doesn't matter. Look, you got Steyer also. And,
yeah, of course. And so Hanauer, by the way, the first non-family investor in Amazon.
Wow.
Jeez. Okay, and he's trying to make sure that everybody's wages are lifted in this country. So we got to raise people's wages. Okay, we got to raise the minimum wage. We got to raise all wages, et cetera. See, and FDR was wealthy, et cetera. But this guy was a wealthy prick, as opposed to Nick and FDR.
Sure.
Okay, so and we nearly got into a fight, like with our families there and everything. Okay, so I'm keeping it real.
Here's the problem. You can have a whole setup like you did with the families and everything, but it only takes one person to be an a-hole, and now it's on. All because he sees, TYT, what are you, Mr. Progressive, blah, 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 you're gonna bankrupt this country, or whatever whatever their rap is.
They just did $2 trillion tax cut for the rich.
Oh yeah, it bears no relation to what's actually happening in the country.
That's right. Yeah. Anyways, okay, so speaking of the raw honesty.
But let me just say this other thing, because I also wear it, anything TYT, and I get tons of love. Overwhelmingly, I get love more than any kind of.
And I might literally recognize you in the streets like I did with Adam Green. He was wearing a TYT cap, And I wouldn't have noticed him otherwise because it was at night. I'm like, oh, that guy's got a TYT hat on. And it turned out it was Adam Green from Progressive Change Campaign Committee.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. But I will, if I run into you and you're wearing TYT gear, I will definitely say hi. Okay, so right wing, it's a good way to trick me.
Right wing purchase is welcome?
Yeah. So the shirt I wore on purpose because I heard his top 5 bestseller. But the hat and this hoodie, I think, is, this one. TYT hoodie is, I think, also top 5. I know the hat's number 1. I think the hoodie's in the top 5. And then here's the other one in the top 5. The sweatshirt that Ben Mankiewicz on Old School made fun of, okay? This beauty here. And that's why I asked what was, okay. Okay, is this the first time you're seeing it, Mark?
I haven't seen it. And there's another one from a couple of years ago, I think, or maybe it was last year, without your face on it. This is an upgrade.
Oh, upgrade. It's got the Uygur face on it. I mean, you can't argue with that, okay? It says ho, 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 home of progressives. Come on. Who doesn't love this sweatshirt?
Very strong.
Right, correct answer, Ben Mankiewicz. He said, but it turns out selling like hotcakes.
Really?
Because people like and love.
That really is selling?
Yeah, that's top 3.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. This is top 3?
Yeah.
Because as you held it up, I thought, well, he's really gonna have to push this. I mean, it's so, but.
What do you mean?
Wrong.
Wrong.
Wow.
So, and it's kitschy. Everybody knows it's kitschy, right?
Yeah, it's cute. Oh, that's great.
I mean, how many people could possibly buy that, right? So you'll be one of only a couple of hundred people in the country who has ever bought this sweatshirt.
That's right.
Will ever have it, right?
You know, when Conan O'Brien, you may remember Conan O'Brien, the late night host, he was given the Tonight Show, replacing Johnny Carson, right? And then, is that how it went? Yeah, he was replacing Johnny Carson. And then immediately they replaced Conan O'Brien after 6 months with Jay Leno. Or is it when Jay Leno was on first?
Jay Leno replaced Johnny Carson, and then Conan, based on an old deal, replaced Jay Leno, who was retiring.
That's right.
But then they changed their mind and pulled Conan and brought Leno back.
So there was a 6-month period roughly when Conan was on.
Yeah.
And now you're saying, what does this have to do with the shirt? I'll tell you. Because you said it was a short time that it's available, this shirt, the TYT members, TYT shop, TYT.com. I immediately upon the announcement that they were yanking Conan off the air and bringing Jay back, I went to the NBC store and started buying all the stuff that said The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien, thinking that, that stuff's really gonna be rare. As you said, there are gonna be 100 people who have that. Whereas there are going to be a jillion people who have a hat that says The Tonight Show with Jay Leno or whatever.
Yeah, and Young Turks, legendary Young Turks producer J.R. Jackson, who's also been on Old School, has a similar thing, but he does it with basketball jerseys. So he gets like people who have been on a team for like 6 days, right? Sometimes they'll even be a transfer. Like Carmelo will go to make it up, like the Timberwolves.
Sure.
And then Timberwolves will trade him to the Rockets, right? This is all made up, obviously.
Sure.
And he'll get a Timberwolves Carmelo Anthony t-shirt.
That's better. That's a great run. I mean, to follow the moves and then pick up the shirts that are, that's really clever.
And it's, of course, jerseys, not shirts, but like my favorites are the ones that are like, oh yeah, he was on the Lakers for 6 months, wasn't he?
Right.
I forgot he was on the Lakers. Like, or Andrew Bynum with the Sixers or stuff like that, right? Anyways, but you want to talk about stopping you to talk to you? You got one of these bad boys on, the Cenk sweatshirt? Okay, I will definitely stop you in the streets. That might also be dissuading people.
Yeah, that might not be the incentive that we needed.
Yeah, anyway, shoptyt.com. All right, that was fun. All right, now let's talk about a more important topic, lettuce. So I think that in previous Old School episodes that we have correctly deduced that it is useless, okay? So.
Must have not been here those nights.
No, I don't think you were. And since you're vegan, it's an interesting topic because it's one of the 3 things you're allowed to eat.
Again, I think I've just been insulted. Sideswipe more than insulted.
So, but tonight, as I was putting it on basically a tortilla I was making, I thought, why am I wasting energy putting this lettuce on? It is going to add absolutely nothing to this tortilla. as it adds nothing to everything that lettuce has ever been on. And then I thought,
let him talk. I'll let him talk.
Okay, then I found a use for it, and I was like, okay, we've saved lettuce. Okay. No, by the way, lettuce is sometimes not only useless but counterproductive.
Oh.
Because when you break it, or sometimes it naturally breaks. That part that breaks, the stem part, basically, captures E. coli better than almost anything. So that's why lettuce often carries of E. coli. Would you like to make a defense of lettuce?
I'd like to make a defense right away. The supposition, which is associated with the fact that lettuce adds nothing, is absurd on its face, because lettuce adds a couple of things right off the hop. First of all, it adds something very, very important, arguably the most important thing with food of any kind: texture. The texture of food is so important. That's why all of you meat eaters out there, you're used to a certain way that burger feels, or that piece of chicken feels, whatever it might be. And a good dish has a bunch of different things that together make a blend of textures that are really great. So on the taco, to use Cenk's example, here's the taco. You've got your ground beef, which has come from like a jillion different cows across the world, and it's in there along with your beans and your cheese. And that lettuce is the truly distinct texture in there that I think gives the taco a real feel. Now, I also think that the taste of lettuce is discernible. Like you know what lettuce tastes like. Now, you may lose it in all the sauce and crap that you put on it, so then you're really down to the texture. But I really think that particularly in the taco and particularly in the burger, hey, there's a reason that on those Carl's Jr.'s commercials, they're showing you all of this meat and bun and lettuce. Because it helps round out the texture of that thing you're eating.
So I was gonna say that I was not remotely buying your argument, okay? And so for us folks who eat real food, we could actually care about the substance of the food rather than the texture.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you care so much about the substance. So much that you're willing to look the other way on antibiotics and a whole bunch of toxins that are lying in your body, and are just like cancer bombs going off.
Did I walk into that one? Okay, but anyway, but no, I actually did find something surprisingly useful in your defense of lettuce.
Do tell.
Okay, I previously thought it had only one use, but I also unfortunately found another reason why I can't be vegan until I evolve more. Okay, but you're right. Lettuce on a burger does add something, and it is in fact the only instance I can think of where you should eat the lettuce whole rather than shredded, okay? And in fact, I don't think shredded would make sense on a burger. You need a little bit of that crunchiness in the burger that lettuce provides. And so if you put it in with tomato and the proper condiments, I will grant you that lettuce does add to a hamburger.
There you go.
Okay. Now, the one I had thought of independently was shredded lettuce on a sub. And the reason is because it retains the oil and vinegar better. Otherwise, it slides off the sandwich. And the lettuce absorbs the oil and vinegar, which is the right way to eat a sub, and extra oil and vinegar. It absorbs it,
no, it doesn't.
Holds on to it. No, it does. And
it doesn't.
No, I'm telling you, this guy's talking to a sub expert, okay?
Where does the oil and vinegar? One of the things, you're right, in a sub that absorbs the oil and vinegar and is absorbed quite strongly is in the sub in the bread. The bread is where that's all going to sit.
So look, people who know how to make subs, when you ask for extra oil and vinegar, which is the correct way of eating a sub,
yes,
they will put the extra oil and vinegar on the bread, okay? And that is excellent and makes sense, okay? Once it gets past my extra mayo, but let's put that aside, okay?
Wow, you have extra mayo and oil and vinegar?
And extra oil and vinegar.
Oh, see, I have that's a fork in the road. You either go oil and vinegar or you go mayo and mustard. No, you don't go both.
No, you do mayo and oil and vinegar as any right-thinking American would.
No, that's un-American the way you're suggesting it.
Mayo and mustard. Where did this guy come from?
Yeah, you can say it like that, but it's absurd. Everybody's agreeing with me.
Okay, so un-American, probably came from Hawaii. Okay. Anyway, like Obama, really born here. Anyway,
Mr. President, Puerto Rico is part of America. I just remember that. I just thought of that when everything was going on in Puerto Rico. I thought, I mean, truly, Trump. Remember, he made that comment. Puerto Rico is part of America. Not many people may know that. Yeah, like I didn't know.
No, we all know that.
I didn't know it 20 minutes ago. Right.
Okay. Anyway. So
right.
look, but what most people do is, unless you ask for extra oil and vinegar, they will just put it on top of the sandwich. And if you don't have the finely shredded lettuce, it will slide right off, and you get almost no oil and vinegar, and you've ruined the sub. But in Jersey, they shred the lettuce even more finely so that it absorbs even more of the oil and vinegar, and so that's why. Would I have a sub with like? Does lettuce add to like 1,000 other things? I think no. I'd rather just not have the lettuce. But I'm indifferent to it. If you put it in, like I don't really care.
Right.
It's not offensive, right? But in a sub, I prefer it. But it must be shredded. No decent American would do a sub without unshredded lettuce.
But shredded lettuce, regardless of where it lives, in the sub or the taco or whatever, that again adds a crunchiness. It adds a texture, don't you think?
When I soak it with oil and vinegar, it's not as crunchy, but it adds texture. Sure, fine, I'll grant it. And last thing on this, then we'll move on to other stuff. Is that's another reason why I would have a lot of difficulty being a vegan, because I don't like beans and I don't like potatoes. So haven't I eliminated like 70% of vegan food?
No, I mean I haven't had beans and potatoes. The first time I had beans was when I came here to TYT tonight, because I had like a little dinner thing. No, I mean there's plenty of stuff to eat. But there are a jillion other reasons you won't become a vegan, and most of them have to do with the fact that you just like eating meat, and that's the way you were brought up, and you've been. I
know, but I got to make myself feel better somehow. It's the beans. I can't.
Yeah. No, the rationales are the best part. Yeah. Let me tell you why I got to wait another year. I thought I was going to do it this year, but let me tell you why.
Yeah, no. Look. I know they're torturing the cows, but I'm not big into beans, right? I know they're mutilating the chickens. On the other hand,
alive, by the way, alive.
Right, but on the other hand, I don't love potatoes. I mean, I'll eat the French fries and many other things related to potatoes, but I don't love potatoes. I mean,
well, if you cut back,
if I was in Ireland, I would have voluntarily starved. Like, I don't even need the potato. I don't even want the potato.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of potatoes either. I love potatoes, but I don't. But anyway, the answer is, you know the answer. I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
That's not listening to me.
Okay.
But okay, what else do we have?
Anna just texted in. They don't oil and vinegar the bread to avoid a soggy sandwich, but that's the mistake. A soggy sub drowned in oil and vinegar is awesome.
I agree, and if you can get to it before, it's sitting there in the car. Most of us are a lot of us are getting these on the road or whatever. If you can get to it before it's sat there for 20, 25 minutes, you can get right into the sub. It's not all soggy yet. It's just perfect.
On the other hand, you could go the other direction. Now I know this is controversial, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Sometimes I'll take a sub and I'll put it in the fridge. Okay, and I'll come back to it later. And at that point, it's even more soggy and it's cold and hence crisper. It's both soggier and crisper. No one's ever thought of it before. Look, I'm a disruptor. That's what I do. I disrupt things, right? I disrupted online video.
You're an innovator, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't.
Yeah, you're a disruptor.
I do this with my kids and with my wife. I go, if I'm like, over Thanksgiving, my wife is like, "This is such a pain in the ass. Can you help me with the dishes? I mean, you're sitting around the house anyway, so you don't have the excuse of going to work, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a fair point." And so I started helping with the dishes. Am I not magnanimous? Okay. And so I started saying to the kids, "Would a hero ask for credit for doing the dishes? No, he wouldn't, right? Would a hero talk about how he took out the garbage 3 times today already? Nah, probably not, right? I mean, so I'm not saying that I'm a hero, right? And bro's like, "Bob, a hero wouldn't even say that. A hero wouldn't say any of that." Okay, so am I a hero for discovering both soggy and crispy subs? No, I wouldn't say that. If other people want to say it, I'm not going to stop them. But
yeah, I don't think that you're in any risk of being called a hero, Cenk, in terms of your dietary choices and culinary preferences. Although I don't want to make fun of them, I think there's some creativity there, and it's not like I feel like everybody who's not eating, plant-based is I get it. But I think on the lettuce thing, you're really you're wrong. I mean, I think the lettuce is actually, and I know you don't want to admit that you're wrong here, but I see in you've already kind of let
you
go.
know what? We're going to go to the American people. This is important enough to go to the American people. We're going to do a poll, tyt.com/poll. That's how we're storing the polls these days because it's clever. It's another thing I innovated. So, is lettuce largely useful or largely useless?
Okay, I'll live with that. I'll live with that question. You know, it's all about
because
the way the
I have granted that it is not entirely useless. So largely useful.
I mentioned texture, taste. Texture and taste, I think, are legitimate. I mean,
yeah, and so by the time some of you are watching this on YouTube, that link will already exist with the magic of online video, abracadabra. Okay, and it'll be in the description box below.
Let me just make one last point. If
look at this guy lobbying.
If lettuce really had no, didn't taste you didn't have any particular taste, or why then is lettuce the fundamental vegetable used in salads? I mean, there's so many salads that are really at their base lettuce and then a bunch of other stuff. I mean, if it's true,
because it catches oil and vinegar well.
All right.
It's you know what it is? It's just an inoffensive receptacle.
Right.
I'm gonna
put
put
Chilean sea bass.
No, Chilean sea bass. I actually think it's almost great.
But of course, because it's a neutral fish. Even this was the idea behind it. It's not even it's not even bass and it's not even Chilean. It's not even from the sea. But I know it is from the sea. But I'm just saying.
I was going to say that sea part doesn't.
I needed to kind of round out the process.
Right. Yeah.
But it's a perfect neutral texture thing for the other things that it marinades in, that it's seasoned with, and all the rest.
I see. Yeah, well, that makes sense.
So anyway, so maybe it's
Chilean sea bass, the lettuce of the sea.
All right, there you go.
But not the Chilean sea. Okay, exactly. Where's it from? Alabama or something?
It's from no, but it's a.
But wherever it's from,
I don't want to.
You guys can do hashtag TYT Live for our members who get to watch this live. TYT.com/join to become a member. You get old school live and get the whole hour and a half. You can tell us where it's from, but yes. Wherever it's from, whoever decided to call it Chilean sea bass, if they did that on purpose, they're a genius. Because Chilean sea bass, for whatever reason, sounds fancy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it would have sounded fancy if you said, Czech
it's
sea bass.
A Patagonian Antarctic toothfish. Before 1977, the name Chilean sea bass didn't exist, and few people. 77. So it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But few people ate the fish before the 1990s. So the 1990s was the explosion. Prior to that, scientists knew the fish by the less mouthwatering name of Patagonian or Antarctic toothfish.
No, that's no good.
Chilean sea bass is a pure marketing invention and a wildly successful marketing invention.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a lot in the names, okay?
Yeah.
So if it was called the Antarctic toothfish, no one's eating it. No one's interested in it.
Right.
It's just gonna die on the vine.
And they knew that.
Yeah. Now some things are good enough to get past their name, like charcuterie.
Oh yeah.
Right, like charcuterie is a terrible name. Nobody like.
Well, it's a terrible name for what it is.
Yeah, if
it could be a good name for something else.
Right, charcuterie until I found out what it was in my 40s, sounded like some French dish that I had no interest in. That was going to have a lot of vegetation on top of it, right? And was going to be small and uninteresting. Right, and people were going to pretend that it was interesting. I do declare, I have brought you some charcuterie, right? And I was like, let's wrap it up, right? And then they bring out like a plate of like salami.
Yeah, just the opposite of what you thought it was.
And I'm like, oh, this is great. And then in Modern Family, I always thought that, right? And we might have even talked about it on an old school episode. And then Jay made the same joke. He's like, why did they call it that, right? So, great minds and all that, right?
Yeah,
and also mediocre minds. So we had a serious story in the news today on the Young Turks, and I forgot to go back to it. It was probably a good thing because it was, and I don't remember which story it was. I don't know if it was shooting, whatever, and it would have been out of place. Oh no, it was this poor lady got coffee thrown in her face by a homeless person, etc. Anyway, the name of the donut shop was Spud Nuts. That's a terrible name, Spud
that's
Nuts.
weak. That's
like
weak.
we talked about cheese curds. You know, the letter U is sometimes problematic, and I say that as a man who has 2 U's in his last name.
Oh yeah,
right. So like Spud Nuts does not sound good. It sounds like it belongs in a Snoop Dogg song. Okay, so what kind of nuts are Spud Nuts? Anyway, so I don't want to eat Spud Nuts. Who wants to eat Spud Nuts, right? So it's a terrible name for a donut shop. And last week we talked about cheese curds. Nobody wants to eat a curd,
and we agree
right?
it's an awful name,
right?
yeah.
But Chilean sea bass has a certain elegance.
It has a sophistication. I agree. It's an elegance, and I think it was a brilliant marketing decision they made, and it's of course. But as I say, it bears no relation to the actual provenance of the fish.
Yeah, and maybe that was our. Come to think of it, Young Turks has 2 U's on it. In it, the Young is like irrelevant U, but the Turks is an actual.
Yeah, you really
U,
hear it. Yeah,
right. So maybe if we were better marketers, we would have gone with the Young Chileans. The Young Chileans. It sounds more sophisticated. I don't know if it rolls off tongue.
As we've said before, the Turks part has nothing to do with Turkey, whereas the Chilean part would have to do with Chile. So it only works the Young Turks.
That's right, because it's Young Turks means young rebels.
Means rebels, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a reference to Turkey. If it was, then it would be weird.
Yes, exactly.
Right, like the Young Russians today with Cenk, Uygur, and Mark Thompson. You'd be like, whoa, what? Why are we doing this? Okay. Anyways, by the way, last part of Anna's text was, you're right about the shredded lettuce and how it somehow absorbs the oil and vinegar. That's called redemption.
When Anna agrees with you.
Yeah, no, it is deeply problematic when Anna agrees with me. It doesn't happen
Usually
often,
I can count on Anna not to agree with you. But in this instance.
Well, we're gonna find out what the American people think soon.
Yeah.
Okay, and soon they will hear from you. That's an old George Bush reference. But anyway, so tyt.com/poll. By the way, shop tyt.com, tyt.com/join. All that will also be in the description box. Okay, let's get on to somewhat important stuff, politics, okay? So it's a mixed bag on whether it's a bit of controversy, but Anna also came up with another old school rule off the air, which I don't know is allowed, but maybe we can call it the Anna exception.
Okay.
Okay, because you're supposed to do old school rules on old school.
Sure.
But she said, I will allow you guys to talk about politics all you like, and that is quite merciful of her. As long as you never spend another 11 minutes discussing football uniforms, as Ben and I did once.
Oh, wow.
Right.
You discussed just with the ones that were good, the ones that were bad.
Yeah, and why the Rams are good, Vikings are good. We're almost gonna devolve into it right now.
But, and the throwback uniforms and all that stuff.
That's right, that's right. And we're out, Anna, we're out, don't worry. Okay, so that allows us the room to talk about politics. So Jeff Sessions was asked last week, hey, are you ever gonna get back into politics? And his answer was in essence like, oh, no, I'm not thinking about that right now, okay? Now that doesn't mean that he really means it, but I think he means it today, right?
Right.
And man, he got burned.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he'll let those 3rd-degree burns settle out. He's gonna have to put a lot of salve on those wounds for a little while.
Yeah, and see, burn has a U in it, and it sounds like it should, like, oh, burns, right? Like almost a negative connotation. I don't know why I keep insisting on that with the last name Uygur, but anyway,
he got burned. So he says he's going to take some time.
I mean, look, let's just review real quick. Sessions steps up when Trump's running for president. Everybody thinks he's a joke. Nobody thinks he's going to win. And as a sitting United States senator, Jeff Sessions does something really bold, and that almost no one on the Democratic side did for Bernie Sanders. Okay, to be fair, Jeff Merkley did. He's a wonderful senator from Oregon. Okay, and. But Sessions stood up and said, yeah, Trump, I'm with Trump. People are like, you're nuts, what are you doing? And he took that political risk, and they thought, oh, you're gonna alienate the next president, who clearly is not going to be Trump, right? By backing this clown, right? And he took that risk anyway, and everything else about Jeff Sessions is horrific.
Right.
And then Trump picked him to be Attorney General, the risk paid off, so he thought. And then he did something, like he lied on behalf of Trump, saying I didn't meet with the Russians when he did. and he actually could have had severe consequences. That was a clear lie on the record in his confirmation hearings. That's the thing that Republicans impeached Bill Clinton for. Of course, Democrats never impeach anyone, never take any action, never do anything, so they let him get away with it. But one reason was he's like, okay, fine, I recuse myself from anything related to Russia. That was the bare minimum he could do. And he probably couldn't have imagined that Donald Trump would be furious about it. Because I think that Jeff Sessions genuinely didn't believe that Donald Trump was a criminal, right? I don't why would you set yourself up for that if you thought this guy's a crook, etc. He thought Donald Trump was a hateful person who did demagoguery. That's what he liked about him,
right?
Because Jeff Sessions is a really bad guy, but he didn't think he was a criminal. And so when he recused himself, he probably thought, well, what's the big deal? But what he didn't know was Donald Trump did do it, right?
Yeah.
He did collude with the Russians, and he did many other things with the Russians, and he did many other criminal activities unrelated to the Russians. So then Trump spends a year and a half shitting all over him, one after another, and just humiliating him in public. And so I thought, if Trump's in a world of trouble now. I mean, that's going to be the second half of the political conversation.
Okay.
That Lou Dobbs is hilariously the last guy on the ship in a weird kind of way I almost respect. But he's the last lunatic on board, going no, we got this. That iceberg is.
Yeah.
Right?
No, he's such a
He's such a weirdo.
It's a loathsome guy. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a second. But so Michael Cohen said, yeah, I committed a felony and I'm gonna go to prison for 3 years. The guy I committed the felony with is Donald Trump, okay? David Pecker, who ran National Enquirer, said, yeah, okay, the prosecutor said we cooperated, so we're not gonna get prison time. But yes, we committed a felony and it was with Donald Trump. Okay, so you've got two people telling federal prosecutors on the record and in plea deals and in guilty and convictions and et cetera, saying, yes, I committed a felony with Donald J. Trump, okay? That president is in a world of trouble. And Lou Dobbs, which was the second half, saying he did nothing but win this week. Okay, it's insanity. But so if we are right that reality still holds, and at some point the Republicans have to decide, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna throw our lot in with the criminal, or are we gonna do something about it, okay? And so that's a long conversation, one we've kind of touched on a couple of times, right?
But when you say do something about it,
impeachment.
Right, let's be clear about what that is. Right.
Or force a resignation.
Right.
Okay, they would go to him and say, no, there's enough votes. Here, I'll give you the list of 67 senators.
Right.
Here, and here are the Republicans on the list. We're all going to vote for impeachment. Your call, but we're Republicans. We'd rather have you resign and not be impeached in shame, right? And not just impeached by the House, but convicted by the Senate, right? And thrown out of office in nearly an unprecedented fashion.
Right.
So that's the conversation they would have with him. And so I picture in my mind's eye the Republican caucus. They've gotten together. At this point, the only reason they're having the conversation, not just because he's a criminal, they defend him anyway. Orrin Hatch said, what do I care about crimes?
Right, he's a good president.
He's a good president. If he's a good president, I don't care that he committed crimes. Yeah, that's the same guy who was like, Bill Clinton lied on the record. That's a crime, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do, it's a crime. It's a crime, crime means everything, right? So the reason that in my mind's eye that caucus is happening is, they got him on the campaign finance violations, that's clear as day already. They got him on Russia. They got him in ways that are even clearer than what we know in public already. And the stock market has crashed.
Well, I think that really might be the nail, where everything cooking right along domestically in terms of the economy particularly might be different. What worries me, of course, is that he gets into some kind of trouble. He gets adventurous with his power of the military. That could be real tricky.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm being overly optimistic. I think actually that could backfire too.
Well, but a lot of bad happens while it's backfiring.
Yeah, I hear you. First of all, you can curse on old school, so it's okay.
That's right. Sorry.
Sorry that I didn't curse. I love that. That only happens.
Bad shit goes down when you.
I was just listening to Cypress Hill again the other day. When the shit goes down, you better be ready. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
It's like being there.
Yeah, it's like being there. All right, let me just finish this part.
Yeah. So.
So I picture Sessions walking into the caucus to talk to his old colleagues in the Senate and finishing Trump. Right, guys, let me tell you what I know about Donald Trump. Okay, if you vote with him today, here's what he's going to do to you tomorrow: betray you immediately. This will gain you no favor with Donald Trump. In fact, he'll use it against you. He'll say, hey, I didn't do it. These guys did it. These guys are the ones that let me stay in office. You should talk to them. There should be consequences for them, not me. You think he wouldn't do that? He's done that every single time. Michael Cohen talked about that in his guilty plea.
Yeah.
Right? And the idea of Sessions finishing Trump, partly like he started him, right? Yes.
Doing one of those,
the only thing I would ever root for in a story related to Jeff Sessions, if that some winds up at least taking down an even worse some, there's some sort of, cinematic justice to that. Right?
I mean, in your scenario where Sessions actually takes him down, though, it's a kind of this 12 Angry Men thing where the caucus is there and all they need is like 2 more votes to really ice him or really be sure of it, and Sessions comes in and finishes him off. The truth is, for them to caucus, more likely they'll be caucusing with a lot of momentum to get rid of him by the time they caucus. Don't you think, Jack?
So I want to talk about that too. We got to let the YouTube audience go.
Okay.
If you get the podcast is free. It's an hour. If you're a member, you get the whole hour and a half anytime you want, and you could watch it live. So go join up, and you help Home and Progressives. Okay, so tyt.com/join, or you could do tyt.com/jank. That's a way to sign up, so I can catch up to Anna. In the competition we're having. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more about how that caucus would work. I want to turn to Lou Dobbs and now Nikki Haley. And apparently, maybe Nikki Haley finishes him.
Wow.
Okay, so let's talk about that now. Like what you see? Of course you did, it was old school. So click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.